Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Lights Out League Racing, Season 30, Race 7. And now it's the time of the Div 2 boys here at Spa-Francorchamps. And anyone that watched the Div 1 race, it was a strategic masterclass by Portuguese in the Williams. And who's going to come a cropper? Who's going to come on top for Div 2? Benji leading the way currently, but didn't have a very, very good run out in the Div 1 as a reserve. And it'd be interesting to see how he gets on this week. He was back on fine form in Kota last week. And bear with me, I'm back. Yeah, we're coming to the crazy end of the season where drivers are going to be pushing harder and harder to try and gain those extra points to try and claim those championships, like the likes of Benji and Kessler leading the way in the Challenger Championship. Of course, those who are not aware, our divisions are split into two tiers. Div 2 is split into the professionals, which is your top 10, and the challengers, which is the next 10. And each driver has a representative in each constructors, with our Repsaka in the Red Bull in the professional, with Kessler in the challenger as an example. And to give us an example of a lap is our Repsaka for the first hot run in quali, as he does a run down to a hairpin of La Source. A little bit shaky on the exit, which if he was in a race he'll have a car under threat going downhill to the run up to turn 3 of Eau Rouge. A very tricky high speed couple of corners, blind crest as we approach Rodion down the DRS straight of the Camel. Cars reaching about 350 kilometers an hour. A hot spot for overtaking and hard braking to turns 5 and 6 of Lacooms. You've got to be driving with pinpoint precision. Fling out of Malmedy, avoid going wide into the gravel. Downhill to Brussels. A slow right-hander. Don't need to go on the grass that much. You'll get dirty tyres. Round No Name or Speaker Corner, where normally that's where commentary speakers are, but not my mouth in your ears. Round Pouillon, flat out. Avoid going wide and hit those track limits round Le Fagne or Piff Paff, where we saw one or two drivers overtake on the entrance to the corner, which is very difficult to do. Round Stavelot, 90-degree right-hander. Very tricky corner. You've got to get a good exit at the end of Sector 2, 17.9 for Repsaka. Blanchimont, where the driver's going to be in your slipstream, or how effective it is on this game. You can see a lot of wheel-to-wheel, side-by-side approaches to the final couple of corners of bus stop chicane. And you prioritise your exit, and very slippery through those couple of corners here for the Red Bull, but crosses the line with a 47.2 and not the quickest of laps. I'm pretty sure we're going to see that beaten. Sygate goes provisional pole with a 43.6, jumped by Guna, 42.5 by both challenge drivers on the podium last week. Guna proving to be a very good driver in qualifying. His teammate jumps behind him, 43.3. So Josh just not liking this tracker so far. Mick, P4 with a 45.5 on debut. My understanding he's in Australia and is joining us with us. Must be early hours for him. NASCAR freak, the American in the Sauber, got himself on pole position a couple of times. Not as so with a 48.0. We've got the Aston Martins crossing the line. Kiza back with us, missing last week, P3. And his teammate reserving. No, he's taking over from Danny is running P7, 44.3, as Benji Boy, 42.3. A couple of tenths ahead of Guna. Not feeling like his favourite for pole or the race win. Has probably got himself on the top, but Benja, who beat him in quali in the race prior to this one, in Div 1. What can he do? Goes P4, 42.9, so 6 tenths behind Benji and championship leader. That's Regan McKinnon. A brilliant couple of weeks. Looking to emulate that, but we'll stay with Megan and the other Williams. A little bit hard on the throttle on the exit. You can see Regan McKinnon closing in on him. Might hamper his own lap here. The LP, it's not Regan McKinnon. It's Benji. Rep Sacker's in the wrong car, you twit. That's Chesbow's car. I wondered why I got confused. Alpine's in the... He should be in an Alpine. You donk. Okay, that will confuse you. Rep Sacker should be in the Alpine. And we'll get points for the Alpines. Validation for Meagle, so he's not going to improve. As Regan McKinnon's coming around the final couple of corners, it's looking like a reasonably decent lap. And it's P8 for him. Well, let's jump on Desing Racing then in the Ferrari. Had one or two mishaps. That's Terry's, who, if you'd missed, joined us on commentary for the Div 1 race. His debut lungs on show for everybody. It'll be interesting to see how he gets on. He's just on his first hot lap. And I think drivers will try and do at least 2 laps, save themselves some softs for the race. It is a mandatory tyre race where drivers have to use a set of softs, mediums and hards during the race. Desing up to P3. Incredible lap from the Ferrari, 42.6. About a half a tenth behind Guna. I think he'll be really, really happy with that one. Meagle's invalidated again, so he's not going to improve. So we'll stay on with Dan Morris back with us. Been missing a few weeks. And it'll be interesting to see what his time can be. First time as a full-timer, as an Aston Martin. I think it might be Damon Hill. Just not managing to keep it on the track on his in lap. And he's definitely saved himself a set of softs for the full race. Dan comes around to the bus stop chicane. Crosses the line, goes P6 ahead of his teammate. As we see Terry Reds go P4, second row, 42.7. Sedders goes P10. Mercedes had a strong race last week, and we're looking to emulate that. As we'll see, the last 2 final drivers, Kessler and Lennon. Lennon always leaves it till last, and I feel he'll be the last one to cross the line. Kessler goes P14. Lennon goes P7, 43.0. I don't think he'll be too pleased not getting himself into the 142s. Well, can always find a little bit of extra time, so 1 or 2 coming out for their next lap. And we'll stay on with Josh first, followed by Benchard. Rep Sacker's confused me in the Red Bull. Clown move. He's a few pubes short of a plug hole. Choosing the bloody wrong car. Josh Ender, sector 1. He's a pretty even on his original time. Benchard doing well in P5 for now. He isn't the lead challenger driver though. Guna on the front row. The Quali Merchant. Outclassing his teammate as it stands. Josh just going around Pouillon. As the Red Bull gets well out of the way and the Ferrari behind. Hopefully he didn't hamper his teammate too much. Oh, Benchard too much. Very tricky place to try and get out of the way. The thing with qualifying is you have to trust the drivers around you. So a couple of debutants at the moment. Mick and Real Damien Hill, 17th and 16th respectively, as Josh comes around the final couple of corners. It's looking like a semi-decent lap. He whips his back end and goes P7. Benchard into the pits. So we'll go and see how Mick gets on. No, it was Seigate going out and doing a lap. Oh, I'm a silly sausage. Rex Sapper's on an out lap. Kessler into the pits. As we see Benja. Fastest middle sector for the Williams. Now this is the pace that we were looking for. Is it real or is the game lying? Yellow flag, it looks like it's at turn 1 or the pits. It's Aston Martin. Around the final couple of corners for Benja. This is looking like a good lap if you can get good traction. And goes up to P4. Second row for Benja. 42.7, just ahead of Terry's by 8 thousandths. Incredible lap. Let's jump back on with Mick as he crosses the line. Improves by 8.5 tenths, but stays P17. Baby, if you gotta go away. NASCAR invalidated, so he won't improve. But his teammate behind, Dan, is pretty much on equal time. He's got a couple of corners to find some extra few thousandths. He doesn't. He's in the pits, so he's not wasting any time. Keep an eye on Lennon. Flashed up a bit of purple in the middle sector. Doing an extra lap on the same tyres. Is he going across the line or is he going in the pits? He's going around, so he reckons he's going to improve. Oh, he's a big snap on the exit of the final corner. And what a waste. Josh in the pits. We've got a Red Bull. Is it Rep Saka? He's invalidated, so he's going again. Why do you cry, Magel? Currently the only one yet to set a time. He will this time. Needs a good exit. Reasonably clean. Goes P17. As we see Keyser jump up to P6. And oh, look how tight it is between Benja, Terry's and Keyser. 400s between them. Oh, it's his teammate, Real Damon Hill. Cutting the grass there from NASCAR. Wrong game, my friend. Oh, Mick's gone round. Again, he's not improving. He's validated as well. Outlap for the Mercedes. So we must have a few minutes to go. As everyone will be coming out to do their final run. Let's keep an eye on Real Damon Hill. I suspect he's not the real one. I think he's lying. But we'll watch him anyway. Arsenal 2-0. Aston Martin's going to close on his teammate. You might see a little bit of slipstream team play here. No, the Aston Martin's slowing down. I would have got really excited. As Keyser has messed up a lap. No, he's on his in lap. Is he on his in lap? No, he's messed up his actual lap. Ah, Keyser. Ah, Keyser. Unless he's looking from slipstream off his teammate. He's not improving on speed either. I don't know what's going on with Geezer. Confusion for me. Found a couple of corners here for Damon. Looks like he's going to improve. Only by just under 10th. So it doesn't improve on position and stays just behind Kessler. Sedders has found a 10th and a half. This could get him potentially up to P11. Keys is retired. That's him done now, and the highest he will start is P6. I think he'll be a little bit disappointed with that. As Mercedes comes around the final couple of corners. And goes P8 behind his teammate, 42.8. It's a good time, but I think he'll be disappointed to be starting behind his teammate. Both Red Bulls on their flying lap. It looks like he's pulled out of a lap there. He's going quite slow. Maybe give a little slipstream to his teammate. Has to move out of the way of the Haas. Well, I don't think it was on a flying lap. Lets his teammate go through. Could have given him some slipstream there. You selfish bastard. Kessler down. Blanchimont will have a little bit of slip off the Haas ahead of him. He'll be setting himself up for his lap. Oh, invalidated from Kessler. Oh, and an absolute mare into the pits. And he's going to, hopefully doesn't get disqualified for blocking the pits. Dan starting his final lap. Let's have a look at where everybody is on track. Terry's ahead there. Benja's behind. So it looks like Terry's is the one to watch. Can Lennon reach the line? I hope he's timed it well. I don't know what the time is left on quali because that yellow flag is constantly there. Ah, Wolves have scored. Bloody hell. I had Gabriel as captain. I'm a fantasy football. Bloody hell. Lennon has started his lap, thankfully. And qualifying is over. So Magel, Mick and Rep Saka will be starting in those three positions. 17th, 18th, 19th. Sedders in the pits. The highest he'll start is P8. He did his lap out of sync. But Terry Red's currently P5. Can he get himself on pole? He does. Provisional pole, 42 flat for Terry's Reds. 3/10 on top of Benja. Now on Benji. I'm all Benja'd out. D-Sing Racing P4. Benji crosses the line. We'll start front row. At the moment, Terry's is on pole. Goon is invalidated, so he's not going to improve. Next across the line is Benchard, who start P7. What can Benja do? Benja's on pole! 141.8. Incredible lap from the Williams. What can Big Josh do? Nothing yet. It's Gooner who's in the pits. His next is a McLaren of Cygate. Cygate P8. Josh is behind him currently. He's gone off the track and invalidated. Damon Hill is Damon Zill in 15th. NASCAR across the line will start P9. There's still a couple of cars to come in. It's Regan McKinnon followed by Lennon, both capable of getting on pole. Regan McKinnon's time is looking strong. Not the best exit, but he's going to cross the line. And we'll start P14. What will Lennon do? He's found 7/10. Did he get pole? I don't know. A third for Lennon. So Bench is on pole. And I think he'll be absolutely chuffed. His first pole for lights out. And it's a well-deserved for the Williams. 41.8. 2/10 ahead of Terry's, who joins him on the front row. Lennon will be P3 with Benji P4. Gooner P5, who gets pole for the Challenger Championship. D-Sing P6. Dan Morris 7th. Keys are P8, Sygate P9, and NASCAR round off the top 10. Bench setters Josh and Regan with Rio Damon Hill, Kessler, Magel, Mick, and Reb Saka at the back in the wrong car. But what a lap from Benja. And I think he's a little bit thrilled with that. And he just now needs to settle his nerves. He'll be sweating, he'll be hot, like the inside of a Turkish wrestler's jockstrap. Drivers now will be sorting out their strategies. We saw quite a few different ones play out in Div 1. And it'll be interesting to see what tyres drivers start on. They have to use all 3 tyres, as I did mention. And Portuguese that started on the hards and won the race. But he does have incredible pace as well. It all does depend on if a safety car comes out. It could be out the window. Fuck it. I'm going to go Benja for the win. He's being very consistent around the P5 to P7 range, but he's starting at the front with that clean air. I suspect he'll start on some softs just to get himself away and ahead. Terry Red's P2. And I'm going to say... I'm going to say Dan Morris P3 as an outsider. Those in the chat, they're all Terry Reds fans. You got Terry Reds lovers. And Katami's cheering on the Visa Carb. On the hunt down for the Red Bull team, I think. Let me just double check. No, it's McLaren away, but there's 20 points between the Visa Carb and the Red Bulls in the overall constructors. So it's very much all to play for. Alpine's leading the way. Oh no, wrong one. What a dipshit. What a dipshit. The Visa Carb's leading the way in the Div 2 standings, but there's only 6 points between them and the Alpines. There needs to be a lot for the drivers behind to do to close that gap as we get underway for our main feature race. And Benja leads us round for the first time. Let's have a look what everybody's on. So, D-Sing, Keezer, Damon Hill and Mick all starting on the hards. Rep Saka the only one to do the medium run, everyone else starting on the softs. And it's interesting to see into people's minds a little bit of how they're thinking. Early pit stop, potential early damage, potentially early safety car. Get rid of those soft tyres. And normally, with it being Div 2, the Div 2 start can be like watching a bunch of retards trying to hump a doorknob. That small run up to turn 1. I suspect we will see something along those lines. It's such a fan favourite, this track, but it just keeps getting small contract extensions. And I might be right, it might be one that we might see on and off the calendar for a few years. Just doesn't have the money like all those Middle Eastern tracks and those street circuits. Hopefully we see it for a long, long while. It's a mix of long straights and challenging fast corners. I know, I do love it. Normally, it's with the size of the track, it generally has variable weather, but with it being a mandatory tyre race, it will be dry, so we'll have no weather conditions to navigate. Here's a big circuit, biggest on the calendar, 7 kilometres clockwise, 19 corners, 9 to the right, 10 to the left with the 2 DRS zones. Pit stops are just under 19 seconds, so they have to do at least 2. 63% chance of a safety car, so we didn't see anything in Div 1. Will we see one in Div 2 as Benja approaches to the first grid slot for the first time in his lights out Lee racing career. Terry's will join him on the front row with Lennon, Benji, Guna and D Singh in the front 3 rows. Dan Morris P7 with Kiza P8 alongside him, Sygate P9, the lead McLaren, and NASCAR ran off the top 10 with Mercedes side by side on row 6. Josh P13, where's he going? Regan McKinnon P14, Rail Damon Hill on debut P15 with Kessler C16, Magel 17th, Mick on debut 18th, and Repsaka P19. Benja at the front. It's a 165 metre run down from pole to turn 1 braking point. It's 3 lights, 4 lights, 5 lights. It's lights out, away we go, and it's a good start from Terry Reds, but Benja has the inside. Slow start from the Williams, but he'll go on the defence. Terry's leaving plenty of room, and Lennon jumps on the inside, and Terry Reds, being very respectful, opens the door for the Ferrari. Benji, the title leader, slots behind Terry's, and it's very close racing between these front 3, front 4. No one big is lose. Repsaka gained 7 places off the line as Terry Reds has lost a couple of places now to Benji, as Lennon on the inside of Benja on great defence. Lennon goes wide through Lacoombs and has to settle for that P2, but he's got Benji all over him, and great defence from the Williams. Did not want to give up that position, and Regan McKinnon is getting swamped up here, and the looks like his car's stuttering everywhere, with NASCAR just getting absolutely swamped, and there's a big cluster of cars in the back. NASCAR losing out to Josh as well on the inside of Pouillon. Very tricky, there's cars everywhere. No wonder you see some accidents with this close racing. You try and avoid one, you hit another. Oh, looks like the Sauber went offline, ended up colliding with the Haas. Got himself on the curb and found himself down in P18 now. Benja still leading the way after, as we approach the end of lap 1. I've got Lennon for company. Lennon looking to try and claim victory. I don't think he's got a race win this season. I'm looking to get one in the badge. An early pit stop from Benja. Interesting strategy from the Williams. Should come out in clean air. Benchard's in the grass, and I would expect him to probably pit. He might have slight damage, as Benjo should come out in some clean air. Magel as well. Williams doing the first lap pit stop strategy then. Mabel tiptoeing over the line, trying, making sure he does not get that track limits. So that could have been an interesting call from Benja, just not having to avoid in the fighting. Overtake there from Benji, and Lennon takes the lead of the race. Dan Morrison up to P4. Incredible start from the Sauber on his full-time debut this season. And one of my tips for a podium, but we shall see. NASCAR cutting the corner. First one get track limits. It'll be interesting to see how Singh Racing and Keys get on these hard tyres, doing the long first stint. D Singh part of this train of the lead of the race. Ignore Amazon. We're not subscribed to Prime, so we're not getting next day. Here's a 2-stop at least. And Benja and Magel both making that early stop. And Benja looking to pump some early laps in. Normally it is a 1-stop, with these 3 battling in dirty air. Or these 4, Dan Morris is battling for the lead of the race basically. Early pit stop here for Benji. Oh, I don't know if he was going to get it slowed down. Guna's in as well. Haas driver getting off those tyres, as well as Regan McKinnon. Now Lennon takes the lead of the race for the first time. Should be a jump at the pit stops for Benja. Benji's coming around turn 1. Oh, Oh, it's going to be tight between these two, but Benji just stay ahead of Benji. And now Terry Reds takes the lead of the race. His fans go wild. As we see the Red Bulls exchange positions. Kessler up to P8 ahead of Repsaka, who's in the wrong car. Dumbass. They're tucked up behind Cygate. Benji with DRS ahead of Benja. Both on alternate strategies. Benja going on the mediums to start with. Benja on the hard, so they'll be on alternate tyres on the final stint. Benji needs to get past Benji. It's the Spider-Man meme. NASCAR's had a moment round No Name. He's got no end plate. I'm not having the best of races. The reserve driver. Nick filling in for Dazza, of course. And NASCAR going off the track. This is Formula One, not rally. Oh, that wasn't great from him as Gunnar, fortunately. No damage done. It could have been a lot worse. Benji and Benja tucked behind the McLaren Mick. Dan Morris in the pits. Terry's and Lennon in the pits as well. Mick trying to defend the inside of the chicane. Oh, we're wheel to wheel with Benja and Mick. Benja did not want to get hauled up behind the McLaren. Josh in the pits, Cygate in the pits, Benchard in the pits, NASCAR in the pits, Italian hand gesture for NASCAR, speed in the pit lane. And Lennon's come out in between Benji and Benja. NASCAR retiring, and we do appreciate him retiring in the pits. And it's so tight. Terry Reds came out ahead. He gets jumped by Lennon. He's trying to defend from Lennon, but gets squeezed, but has to settle for that net P3. Benju, who found himself in the lead of the race, pit early, and is now net P4. And needs to stay with these three. And what that does mean is D Singh leads a race in lights out for the first time. What's happened to Lennon? He's had a moment in the gravel going through No Name. He's gone wide and loses out in a couple of positions and out of DRS. Mistake by the Ferrari. Surprise, surprise. And loses out. And breaks that gap between Benji and Terry's. And what they can't afford is for Benji to pull away. Benji, though, has traffic with the real Damon Hill ahead of him in the Aston. Doing the long run on the hards to start with. I wouldn't be surprised if Sedders and Kessler both pitting. Sedders is in. Kessler going in as well, as suspected, so Repsaka will go through. Real Damon Hill closing the gap on Repsaka. He's got under 2 seconds now. He's going to get swamped by the net race leaders. And actually, you'd be Benji. Terry's is under threat from Benja and Lennon, and Gunnar's about 3 seconds. If the cars ahead will be battling, he'll be rubbing his hands. Benja, easy meet of the Aston Martin, and Benja ahead of Terry's. Can Lennon go through him? Terry's as well. Oh, he's not quite close enough. Terry's goes slightly deep at the start of the Coombs. Lennon on the inside of Malmedy. Very opportunist driving from the Ferrari. Mistake from Terry's. And Lennon goes through up to P7. Benji needs to close the gap on Benji, who goes past Repsaka as well. Ahead of Pouillon. Benji is not messing around. He'll want to try and get this championship settled. Still got a way to go. But his challengers are stuck behind Benja on the Aston Martin. These two looking feisty. Lennon just needs to sell, maybe slightly hot-headed after his mistake. In the slipstream of Benja. This is a battle for a race win and a podium position. Real Damon Hill goes off track trying to make a move on Rep Saka, who defends the chicane. Oh, goes deep on the inside. Bit of a dive from the Aston Martin. Not the best of moves. Rep Saka did the switchback. And Real Damon Hill lets Lennon and Benja through. Oh, we've got a yellow flag at the final corner. Damon Hill got damage. As Josh sets the fastest lap for now. Regan McKinnon on Mick. Mick goes deep in turn one as Sygate goes through. Probably let his teammate through, so good driving from Mick. Takes a quick look back at his teammate, but has to follow him through up by Rouge. As we see, Terry's past Benja, we're down the Kemmel. And Guna overtaking Rep Saka as Lennon goes through on Damon Hill. Locks up, goes slightly deep. Through Lacoons will go offline. Josh getting past both the McLarens up to P13. And the Haas driver making good use of these medium tyres. Dan Morris now down in P10 after the pit stops. A little bit of open air ahead of him. Kessler on Mick ahead of Pouillon. Brilliant move from the Red Bull. Sometimes ends in tears, but Mick left him plenty of room. And Kessler saw the door open. The P15 for the Red Bull. And Morris already caught up to the Red Bull of Rep Saka. Will try and get past him down. Blanchemont is 3 cars wide. And Sedders. Sedders. Both him and Dan Morris. Did they just bang wheels? Dan Morris has gone off. He's hit the wall. Close racing. I think they've both gone off. Damage to Dan Morris. Rep Saka's. What's going on with Sedders? Retired from the race. On track. Hopefully there's no safety car. Not great there from Sedders. Close racing, and they got too close. Mick can pass. Oh, trying to make an overtake on Dan through a Rouge. Could have ended in tears there. Regan McKinnon past Sygate. Look at this cluster of cars as Red Bull of Rep Saka and Kessler. Kessler trying to get past his teammate. Rex Saka lets him through up to P12 for Kessler. Josh now with the lead of this pack. That was very, very tight racing. Damon Hill at the moment staying with Guna for this P7 spot. Deesing and Keyser still leading the way. Deesing having a fine race at the moment. A completely different strategy to the cars behind, still yet to pit. But getting a good gap between him and Keyser. Keyser just minding his own business for now. Doesn't need to do anything silly. And is actually closing on Deesing Racing. Who had a better exit on the final corner. But Keyser just needs to get in that DRS, try and pull him away from the chasing pack. Benji has got himself some breathing space between the three behind him. Terry's Lennon and Benji. Looks like they're trying to fight for that P2 for now. So I suspect maybe penalties might play there. As Dan Morris going past Benchard and Rep Saka. Rex Saka and Benchard side by side down to Eau Rouge. Mercedes just ahead though. Keep an eye, Regan McKinnon trying to make an overtake on Josh, and he does on the outside, just ahead of Lacoombs. Great overtake, Benchard and Mercedes getting past Dan Morris, who's struggling with that loss of end plate. Has to go deep at Lacoombs, gets himself another track limits. Rep Saka just not the best line through Malmedy. Benja's just slightly adrift with that earlier pit stop. He just managed his tyres a bit better. He's falling slightly adrift of Terry's and Lennon. At the moment, this could be a carbon copy podium for the professionals from Kota last week, with Benja, Terry's and Lennon 1, 2, 3. But don't rule out Geezer and D Singh. Still yet to do 2 pit stops, but they're going to be on the quicker tyres. At the moment, you'd like to see Benji and Terry's both on the better strategy. Both will be finishing the race on the mediums. So we'll get back down to this battle for P9. Casper just watching from the back and will capitalise with DRS. Oh! I didn't think he was going to stop in time, broke very late. As Repsaka and Mick both pitting. It's an early pit stop from Mick on those medium tyres. Struggled to get to the end, doing 13 odd laps. Repsaka going on the hards, which is about right. Josh getting past Regan McKinnon then. And retaking P9. Terry's and Lennon just having their own battle. Benja just struggling to keep pace and needs to keep an eye on Guna. D Singh leading the way in the Challenger Championship. But of course, just still need to pit twice. Guna looking to get back-to-back wins for the Haas. Keys are just not managing to close in on D Singh. Great show from the Challenger driver here. Managing his pace well. Lennon not able to make a move as yet on Terry's. Needs to get a good exit out of turn 1. Terry's has got the better one though. He's got that second gap, which could compromise Lennon and bring him in the clutches of Benja. Josh with Regan, Seigate and Kessler looking to try and retake the position here. Regan McKinnon, he's got a couple of cars in close proximity. Regan McKinnon pokes his nose in. It's that big, he can smell his Sunday dinner on Wednesday and gets himself up to P9. Good little battle here between Regan and Josh, and long may it continue. Guna now just over a second behind Benja. Our Benja's tyres just wearing a little bit thin now after that earlier pit stop. I wouldn't be surprised if he pits in within the next couple of laps. Lennon trying to stay with Terry's, but on those medium tyres, probably not in the as good condition as the Visa carbs. D Singh over 2 seconds now. At this stage of the race is looking slightly better than Keezer. And be interesting to see when they decide to pit. Keezer pitting now. Seeing that D Singh's just pulling away, and he'll try and do a bit of an undercut. Again, just releases Benji in some more open air. Benja pitting now as well in another early pit stop, going on to the hards. It'll be interesting, we'll see where he comes out. He does not want to get caught in traffic. Damon Hill, Kessler and Benchard all going in as well. Damon Hill going for mediums. It's his first pit stop as well. And going on mediums to softs then. Interesting call for the Aston Martin. And just come out in P11, good 5 seconds behind Dan Morris, so good strategic call from the Williams team. And he's got no one around him as well, so no distractions. Magel, his teammate, pitting as well. Same strategy for the Williams. Magel just struggling with a bit of pace at the moment. Should get out just slightly ahead of the Red Bull of Repsaka. Needs to get his tyres up to temperature, almost hitting the wall, losing traction out of pit exit. Decent racing. 5.3 seconds ahead of Benji. I think he'll be going as long as can. Oh, penalty for Cygate. He's always his own worst enemy. Benji did well to pit then as well, so Gunnar didn't get any extra speed from the DRS. Josh's medium tyres not working well. And he's lost time to Regan McKinnon, as we see the leader of the race, D Singh, pitting for the first time. Is he doing medium to softs? No, he's doing soft to mediums. So he's going to look to try and pump a couple of quick laps in, but he needs to come out in some fresh air. He'll be hoping to get out ahead of Giza, who pit earlier and is on a different strategy. It's going to be tight. Oh, it's going to be tight. And he stays just ahead. Giza will have DRS, but brilliant pit strategy. Josh pitting now off those tyres, and Cygate both going onto the hards for their final pit stop. And it's going to be tight with Kessler. He's coming around in turn one. Kessler will be behind them after that earlier pit stop. So Josh and Cygate managed to stay ahead of the Red Bull. Be interesting to see what happens with Regan McKinnon. Keys are not managing to get past D Singh on those soft tyres, as Kessler does get past Cygate, up to P11 for the Red Bull. Damon Hill on those fresh mediums, making them work up to P13. D Singh needs to get SWAT. Keys are out of that DRS range before the start of the new lap, and currently he's done so. And speaking of swatting, Terry swatted Lennon. I've got a good couple of seconds advantage. Lennon, I suspect, will be pitting, as he does now. Call me Mystic Meg, where's my crystal ball? D Singh with a brilliant race strategy, now closing in on Gunnar, and on a similar race strategy. They're both still yet to pit, but D Singh will have DRS on the Haas. Has breathing space with Kiza behind him. Could D Singh win his first Challenger title, Challenger race? Damon Hill, 46.4, fastest lap so far. D Singh round the gearbox of the Haas. We'll be pushing him around sector 2. We'll try and dispatch him as quick as possible. He won't want to lose time to the competitors round. Has a look in the inside of Brussels. The Haas leaves him plenty of room. Brilliant wheel-to-wheel racing between these pair. D Singh has to slot behind the Haas. Bodo Glimt beating Inter Milan 3-1. Interesting. Damon Hill getting the move done before Lacoombs. On Cygate P12 for the Aston. Cygate just struggling on these hards on this final stint just to get them switched on. Keys has closed in as D Singh stuck behind Gunnar. Now it's like Looney Tunes. That's all, folks. D Singh moving around, trying to find some space to get past the Haas. He might just stay behind him to get DRS. I wouldn't be surprised if we see Gunnar pitting very soon. Not on that line though. The Ferrari trying to do the switchback. He'll have to settle behind. There's good launch off the exit from the Haas, but DRS there for the Ferrari. We'll have a second dose down the Camel and should be able to make this move his. Will Keyser try and do a move and on the Haas as well? He doesn't look like he's close enough as of yet. But look how close the Ferrari is. Flying up Eau Rouge. Gets flung out Radion. DRS easy move for the Ferrari up to P3. Keyser not quite close enough to make that overtake either. Is he brave enough or close enough to make a move through the middle sector? Second Ferrari, Lennon. Currently running P8. So he's got no easy feat of trying to get past Dan Morris. Benja behind Lennon. He's going to potentially struggle. Have Wolves just equalised against Arsenal? 1 second, guys. 1 second. 1 second. 1 second. 1 second. Last minute equaliser for Wolves. Oh, Arsenal bottling it. Arsenal are bottling it. Oh my God. Oh my God. That's, if Dan Morris thought his race was worse, it's getting even worse. 2-2 Wolves Arsenal. Incredible. Incredible. Go back. Terry's Reds pitting. First of the front runners to do that final stop. He's 4 seconds or so behind. D Singh, quick middle stint, and he did well. And we'll go on to the mediums for the final run. He needs a good pit stop again as Lennon and Benja go through turn 1. Dan Morris is in the pits to do his final pit stop as Josh leaves that pack of D-Sync, comes out ahead of that pack in clean air. Great pit stop strategy from the Ferrari as well. Dan Morris will come out, should have come out ahead of Mick, and part of this battle for P10, potentially P11. Lennon ahead of Terry's. Terry's just come out of the pit stop, so should be able to stick with the Ferrari. So all drivers ahead of Lennon, still yet to pit, so net race leader is Lennon. I think Benji does have a pit stop on him. I wouldn't be surprised if we see Benji try and make that pit stop as soon as possible to give us as much opportunity to try and either get a position back or pull away. At the moment he leads the race by 12 seconds on Gunnar, who's got Keyser trying to force his way around, struggling at the moment. Keyser, he'll be doing the softs on the final stint and will not want to lose any more time as he has already to the Haas, especially with the pace shown by Ferrari of D Singh, who's his closest competitor on track at the moment. Let's see how D Singh does on the likes of Benja. Benji does pit and Gunnar does, which releases Keyser into some open air, which is what he's needed. As Benji goes on the mediums for the final time. Regan McKinnon will be going on the mediums as well. Keyser now leads the race here in Spa. Fastest lap from Lennon. You can see how fast he was going, pulling Terry Reds along with him and Benja. Benji's coming out and comes out ahead of Lennon. And it's got a good 4 seconds or so. So he had to do that then, otherwise he would have been losing time all the while. Regan McKinnon's come out side by side just behind Josh. But we'll have a different tyre compound and the tyre offset in his favour. Keyser the only one yet to pit. D Singh closing in on Benja. Dermot Hill up to P10 ahead of Kessler. Brilliant overtake. Dan Morris on Sygate. Down the Kemmel. Now the lone Sauber as his teammate has DNF'd for today. Can anyone force this move? Benja's actually closing in on this battle for net P2 of Lennon and Terry's. Benja liking these hard tyres, about 1.5 seconds behind. But I wouldn't rule out D Singh on a podium position here. We're running net P5, and at the moment we'll be winning the Challenger race for the first time. Just needs to avoid any sort of penalty, with Guna in close proximity on very similar final stint strategy, and gets our fastest lap as well. Bench and Kessler. Oh, and Bench. Slight collision on the inside of the bus stop chicane. Down to P14 for the Mercedes. We've seen one or two moments at that corner for the Mercedes where he's missed his braking point. I suspect he's just done the same. Dan Morris past Kessler as Terry's up to P3 ahead of Lennon. These two are going to be switching positions, I'm sure, until the end of the race. Lap 17 of 22. As we see Magel and Mick in the pits again. I think going on the soft tyres maybe, as Dan Morris doing a double move. Now on the Aston Martin up to P10 for the Sauber. Wolves 2, Arsenal 2. Wow. That's Benji. He's caught up to Keyser and got past the Aston. Round Piff Path. Benji with a good gap with Terry's and Lennon having a squabble. Keyser should come out potentially, I think, behind Guna, but looking to try and make some moves with those soft tyres on his final stint. Benji just slightly adrift now, and Terry's with a slight more pace at the moment at this stage of the race, trying to utilise those medium tyres. And Lennon may fall into the clutches of Benja. Terry's with the fastest lap, 45.3. Will we see the Aussie Mick on those soft tyres get himself a fastest lap on debut? Megan McKinnon and Josh, they've been stuck to each other like semen on a sock. No, they're not under your bed for months. They're on track and they're fighting, and there should be a good overtake here from the Visa Carb on Josh. Up to P8. Good show, Regan McKinnon, actually. He's, again, another driver that's in some good form as it stands. We've got Mick and Repsaka to the final corner. Repsaka defending from the McLaren. Repsaka just pet on those soft tyres to the end of the race. Done a 3-stopper. With DRS has a look on the inside, but he knows he's got a second dose down the Kemmel. Look how much better traction he's got out of turn 1. And makes the move ahead of the Kemmel. No messing around for the McLaren. He's going to be under threat though from the Red Bull. He's going to have a dose of DRS down the Kemmel. And retakes P16. Have a look back at this battle for P11 as Keyser's finally in the pits for his final stop, the only one left to do so. And it's all about where he comes out. I think he's out ahead of Regan McKinnon. He's in the pit box as Guna goes through. Regan McKinnon and Josh down the start, finish straight. Regan McKinnon with the fastest lap as well. 45 flat. Keyser's coming out the pits now. He's actually coming out behind Regan McKinnon and ahead of Josh, so he's split them up. But on these soft tyres, he should be able to dispatch Regan McKinnon quite easily in the next lap or so. D-Sung's got past Guna, P5 for the Ferrari, and he's actually caught up to Benja as well. Benja under threat from D-Sing on those medium tyres. He'll be twitching like a twitching like a turkey at Christmas. Josh gets himself track limits. Will not help his finishing time. Mick and Rep Saka having a good go again. Mick getting the overtake done at turn 1. Maybe this. I hope there's no DRS chicken here from the Red Bull, so he can retake the position. If he does it again at turn 1, we'll watch his wing. It's not like he can buy some more at KFC. If he does that again at the next lap, it's a little bit sus. Kessler looking to gain a couple of positions on penalties here. Following the Aston Martin of Belgium and Hill, who's in the pits. That releases the Red Bull and the McLaren. We've got 6 seconds to gain on Josh and Dan. Lennon tyres kind of equating out now as D Singh goes ahead of the Williams. Gunas gets the door closed him just ahead of the corner. And Ferrari looking brilliant at the moment. Giza ahead of Regan McKinnon up to P7. Dan Morris making the move on Josh as well. Brilliant drive here from Giza. At the moment will be P5 in the professional. Saigate and Kessler side by side through the Coombs. Saigate looking on the inside of Malmedy. Brilliant overtake from the McLaren. Very feisty. Benchard having a look as well. Kessler pushing Saigate round. Great overtake from the McLaren. 2.5 laps to go, including this one. Benji, comfortable win again. And looking likely to come closer to getting his hands on the championship. We've still got 3 laps to go after this. But he's cementing himself into Lights Out League racing history onto the champions scoreboard. And with that comes promotion to Div 1. And he's showing himself in his reserving in Div 1. He's no slouch. Terry Reds just running comfortable in P2. Just keeping Lennon at bay, but the tyres will equate and go into the favour of the hards. As we see Josh overtaking Dan at turn 1. Dan will have a DRS though down the Kemmel, so should retake the position quite easily. Well, let's just keep an eye. Benjamin not being able to make a move, or Guna. Dan Morris back ahead of Josh, up to P9. As Kessler retaking the position from Saigate. Just toing and throwing for now, as we see just behind as well. Mick getting past Rep Saka down Blanchimont. Mick just seems like he's got so much more traction coming out the slow corners. And that's what the soft tyres will do for you. Double dose of DRS for Rep Saka. On the penultimate lap, this race has flown by. And you're looking for that P4. He's so close to getting that potential podium. He's got Guna having a look on the inside of the bus stop. Guna's not going to try it, not going to hamper his chances of a potential championship win. He's doing well so far, and let me just double check where he is in the lead standings. Guna actually is leading the way by 15 points on Kessler. Oh no, Benja! He's gone off the track at turn 1. And Keys is going to go through. Oh, Benja. Oh, Benja. And there's a high chance he's going to lose out to Regan McKinnon. Can Benja retake the position with DRS on Keys? Keys will have the DRS though. Oh, wheel to wheel. Benja has the inside, but Keys has got the speed. And will stay just ahead. some last minute track warnings as Dan gets ahead of Josh. Benchard and Sygate exchange positions as Mercedes of Benchard looking on the inside. Oh, Kessler, but not close enough. Benja. Regan McKinnon, another track limits for him. Can put his potential position under threat. Laguna, as it stands, will extend his time at his lead at the top. Finishing ahead of Kessler and Regan McKinnon, but finishing first. Back-to-back wins for the Alpine. Benji extends his title charge and wins at Spa. Terry Reds, Mr. P2. Back-to-back P2s as Lennon as well gets back-to-back P3s. Congratulations to all three finishing on the podium. D Singh, first race win for the Challenger tier. Comes home P4 and brilliant championship, brilliant race for the Ferraris. Guna comes home P5 and P2 in the Challenger. Kiesa P6. Benja tussle at the end. Comes home P7. Regan McKinnon P8 and P3 in the Challenger podium. Josh P9. Dan Morris will come home P10. What would have been if he didn't have his mishap earlier on. Kessler P11. Mr. Benchard P12. Sygate P13. Real Damon Hill on debut comes home P14. Meagle gains the extra couple of positions, will come home P15. Some more points for the Williams team. Reb Saka will be getting points for the Alpine, not the Red Bull. Jumping in the wrong car. As we wait for him to come round the final few corners, Mick will come home P17. Rep Saka has no wing. Why is he in the Red Bull then? Down Blanchimont. You got no wings. You got no fans. You need some Terry Reds fans. Creeps around the final couple of corners. Tiptoes across the line as the final car. And what a race that was. Everyone playing a different strategy. But Benja finishes on the top step. Does a dance in front of Terry's in his girl clothes. It takes another race win for the season. Fastest lap goes to Regan McKinnon. Congratulations to him, that bonus point for him. But Benji taking the win from P4 as well. Terry Reds, where he started, P2. Another podium with Lennon, P3. Congratulations. P4 from P6 for D Singh Racing and his first win in the Challenger tier. Guna takes that P2. Kiesa comes home P6. P7 for Benja from pole. Just needs to work on that race pace. Regan McKinnon takes that final podium position in the Challenger Championship and the fastest lap with a 45.0. Josh P9. Dan Morris rounds off the top 10. P11 for Kessler. Benchard P12. Sygate 13th with 14th for Real Damon Hill on debut. P15 for Meagle. Rep Saka P16 in the Alpine. Mick P17 with the final finisher on debut. And thanks for joining us from all the way from Australia. Setters and NASCAR both DNFing and the only ones. And that is the final mandatory race of the season. We've got one more special race coming up in a couple of races time where it's no hards allowed within the race. I think that's at Qatar, but next week please join us 7:30 UK for Div 1 and 9 PM UK for Div 2 for race 8, and it is at Austria Reserve. And it always, I say always, we've done one race, but last time it threw an absolute classic, and I'm sure it'll do so again. Thank you for joining us. My name is Alex. This is Lights Alley Racing. Peace out.